Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Makai with Cable East. Gonna be walking through a 2440 with everybody, going through some key points before operation, kind of touching base on some small stuff. So first thing you want to do before you start any piece of equipment or go to take off for operations is on a piece of equipment especially, is you want to check your fluids. Make sure that you're good to go for a startup. So 2440, if the hood's all the way down, you've got a lock here to release, but if the hood's halfway up, you just push in that. Hood comes on up, locks in place. First thing you want to do on a startup is check your oil, check your hydraulic fluids, go through all your fluids, make sure they're good. So on this one, you've got your oil cap and dipstick together. So you have your level on there. You got 3 little dots. You want it to be anywhere from the bottom dot to in the middle. Make sure it's good to go. Obviously, if the engine's low, just take and add whatever you need in here. Then you can work your way up. You got your overflow tank or your your overflow tank for your coolant. It's got a cold side and a hot side. Obviously, when it's cold, you want it to be at that cold mark, and as it warms up, it'll go up to that hot mark as well. While you're back here, you've got this hood popped open, you're checking your fluids. This is a good time to check all your radiators and intercoolers. Make sure they're good to go, make sure there's no debris and buildup on them. As we run these drills on the side of the road, a lot of that taller grass, it just sucks all that grass up on these radiators, and that's when you start seeing a lot of your overheating issues. Because all your cooling is right here. This is where it all happens at. So make sure your fan is good. Make sure your blades aren't broken. Make sure it's in good shape. Just kind of take a glimpse. Make sure you don't have any oil leaks, hydraulic leaks. Just do it once over. This is your chance to really kind of look at your equipment before startup. As you work your way forward, you're going to have your hydraulic tank. There's a big misconception, and I've talked to you in a couple other videos about filling this tank all the way full. I get it, I understand the process in that, but when you have a cold machine, you want it to be halfway. The reason being is if you fill this all the way up, you don't have any room for expansion or for that fluid to create volume, and that's what's going to happen. So if you fill this all the way full, it's going to blow hydraulic fluid everywhere, either out of this vented cap, or it's going to find a weak point and it's going to blow hydraulic fluid everywhere, and you're going to think you got a big leak. Kind of going through, make sure everything's good. Obviously, you have your main hydraulic pump right under here. You want to check out, make sure it's good to go. Make sure you don't have any leaks. While you're right here, you can take a look at your batteries and make sure there's no corrosion. Once you start seeing any kind of corrosion or something like that, just call the shop and we'll get somebody out there to get them replaced. Get it taken care of. While you're up here, go ahead and check your air filter. This indicator is going to tell you your restriction levels. Obviously, once you start seeing red, you've got an issue. So you need to call us and we'll get you a new air filter, or typically once you start seeing it get packed off or to where it's not breathing the way it's supposed to, it's probably getting close to due to service. Or if you're in a dusty environment, or just where there's a lot of debris being flown up in the air, stuff like that. Rule of thumb is pop that filter open and just dust those filters out daily. Make sure it's good to go. So pop your hood back down. You push down on this big knob right here. Just push forward. Here it lock in place. It's good to go. Next thing you want to check, you've checked all your fluids. Make sure everything's good to go. What you're going to do is you're going to go into kind of your checking your tracks and also greasing at the same time. So typically what I do is I start at the front of the drill, come up here at the front. You've got your grease lines that are all connected to your rollers in the front. And these are going to grease all of your front rollers up here. This is what your rod's going to ride on all day long. So you got to keep these greased. This should be a daily check. This should be something that you're greasing before you start this equipment every day. If not, if you're doing multiple shots a day, there's no reason you get pipe pulled back, clean it up a little bit, put some more grease through it. If you don't put grease through these lines, but once a week, every 2 weeks, whatever it is, these rollers up here are going to lock up, and then you're going to start having wear on your rods, and you're going to ruin your front jaw set as well. And then also, I haven't put grease in my machine in 2 weeks, whatever it is. That grease is going to harden up in these lines, and you go to pump grease through it with a grease gun. Everybody's got those bougie electric grease guns now. It's just going to blow these lines apart because it's got hard packed grease in there. So yeah, putting your grease in here, checking your rollers, making sure they're taking grease, give them a free spin, make sure that they're spinning the way they're supposed to, and you're good to go. As you walk your way around, you're going to come into your jaw set. I'm going to go ahead and open this operator stand up so we can get in here. This is like the lifeline of your drill, obviously. As you're pushing rods out or pulling rods back, you got to think about how many times this thing is sitting there rocking back and forth, opening and closing, rocking back and forth, opening and closing. You've got your grease points all over this thing. You've got grease points up here on the top side. You've got grease points for this cylinder, both sides of this cylinder, inside and outside. And then as these jaws rock open, you're going to have your grease points inside of here as well. They're going to be down in the inside of this right here. And then as you come to the bottom, you've got your grease points on these swivel points as well. So once you check all of those grease points, make sure everything's good. What you'll do is you'll kind of walk, you've got your grease gun already out. You might as well go ahead and check your tracks. So once you've lifted your tracks off the ground, that gives you time to take and look at them, see if they're worn out, if they're catching. Check their tension. This is a newer machine. These steel tracks, they're going to stay tight. They're going to be pretty tight. But if you run into an instance to where your tracks are loose or they're starting to get some flop in them, what you're going to do is you're going to take these 4 bolts out right here. This plate comes off, and then there's a grease fitting in there. That grease fitting, you apply grease to it. There's a cylinder that pushes out on your idler and puts tension on your track, and tightens it up. So as you're down here, you want to check your idler, make sure that the bevel on it's good, make sure that it's not getting wore out. These things are in the dirt a lot. They obviously don't move around like a Mini X or a Traco or something like that, but they also keep a lot of dirt in your track most of the time. So they get a lot of wear just from the short amount of time that they move. Working back, you're checking all your wear pads. You're checking all your wear pads that they ride on, make sure they're good, make sure they're not grooved out and wore thin. Working your way back, you've got other wear pads here. Then you get into your sprocket, make sure it's good. And then obviously you've got your motors that you want to check, and make sure that they've got oil in them. If this cap comes off, that's an issue. That means as it rotates, that oil is coming out of there. So I want to make sure that this plug is in here at all times. And then as you look at your sprockets, you want to make sure the points are good, make sure they're not wore out. That'll allow slip, especially if your track's loose and you've been running it loose. It's going to wear that sprocket out even more and wear them teeth off. So you've checked everything out, made sure that you've checked your fluids, checked your grease, checked your tracks, went through everything. So now you're getting ready to get started up, get moving. One of the main things you want to check as you get started up is your Kelly as it goes up and down the track. So as it goes up and down this track, you want it to just be going straight forward. Obviously, it's going to have a little bit of movement to it, but if you're seeing a big side-to-side movement on your Kelly up here, then your wear pads are out of adjustment, or they're wore out, or they need to had some tension applied to them so they can tighten up and run properly. What you'll see is once this thing starts getting kicked one way or the other, your planetaries in here will start slipping on these teeth themselves, and then as you get in a bind or you're trying to push, you can't push because your gear is slipping on the track because it's all out of whack. So, you know, as you've checked your Kelly, the best thing to do is have somebody stand behind the drill and watch that Kelly go down the track and come back, making sure that it's not got a lot of side-to-side movement. The next set of wear items you want to look at is going to be on your rod arms, your carriage arms. A lot of people call them different things. So you want to check your wear on these. Once you start seeing them break off right here, or you start seeing these wear out a lot quicker, then it's obviously time to get those replaced. Also, you've got your 2 magnets on each side. And what you want to do, you don't want those magnets sticking out past it. You just want those magnets to be able to come up and grab a hold of the rod enough to where it sits in there and stays in there. If you start kicking them out or pulling them out too far, that's how they get broke off, and that's how you lose where the magnet won't grab a hold of the rod and the rod's falling out. And that's no fun. So making sure those are good, checking the wear on those. Obviously, if they get too far gone, it's time to get them replaced, get them gone through. So obviously on your rods, one of the biggest things is obviously they're going in the ground every day, all day. So what you want to look at is the bevel on your rods. So as you can see here, there's no bevel left on this rod right here. It's gone. It's just a smooth rod. What you want is to see the buildup on that rod. You want to be able to see like an actual bevel. You'll see the difference, and we'll later explain what an actual good rod versus a bad rod looks like in a later video. But what this does is it causes, for one, it causes your vices to wear out quicker because they're grabbing enough to put tension, and then it's just wearing the edges off of your actual jaws. So that's like a really important thing about, you know, your breakout process, your torque up process, because if the rod isn't being grabbed the way it's supposed to, you just got that little bit of slippage on there, and then you're like, oh, my drill's messing up, it's not breaking out like it's supposed to. But what's happening really in reality is your rods are junk. So it's a good thing to keep an eye out for. Obviously making sure that you keep copper coat in here. This is essentially anti-seize. This isn't grease. This isn't something that you use for lubrication. What this serves as a purpose as is whenever you get downhole and you start putting heat and tension on those rods, it's not going to seize up and lock together. That's all this is for. When we take this grease and start putting it on your carriage for lubrication, what you're doing is you're adding wear, because it has actual copper in it. It has a metal material in there. So you're just creating more friction whenever you apply this copper coat to your rail for lubrication. If you have the need to lubricate your rail, just use regular grease. Don't use this copper coat because you're gonna run into more issues than what you thought you had. Another major thing I wanna talk on with these 2440s is a lot of guys I see, and you take and you fill this rod rack all the way full, all the way to the top, to where you can't even lift it all the way up. You gotta like stop at a certain point, or it gets in a bind either on top of the rod rack or on top of your crossbar. I don't know if anyone's ever taken the time to look, but the rod lifting arm down here at the bottom, and we'll walk around and look at this side over here. So right down here, you can see how small these bolts are. There's nothing that, I mean, we could drill the hole out, put bigger bolts, but in reality, that little bitty cylinder, you got to think you're adding 5 rods on top of that at, 90 pounds a piece. You're adding all that weight to those little bitty bolts and that little bitty cylinder. You've got 500 foot pushed out, getting ready to pull back, and from where you've overloaded this rod rack and those cylinders, you go to lift a rod up, those bolts shear off, and now you can't receive rods back into the rod box. That's no fun. You can't get product in the ground that way. So you know, that's part of the process. You know, if you need to load more rods, that's, you know, that's your laborer's job. That's what you should be using them for. They can carry rods. They've toted rods. I'm pretty sure everybody on here has toted rods. So it's not going to kill us. It's one of those things we got to do. But overloading this rod rack is not good. That's how you get in a bind, and that's how you ruin your day. Another major topic on the 2440 is your mud pump itself. This is a very, 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 very critical item. Obviously, without mud or water, whatever you're mixing, you run into heat, and you can't cut a hole the way you need to. Obviously, without this, you're not putting rods in the ground, you're not putting product in the ground. A lot of guys are using, you know, obviously bentonite, or you're using the new polymers that people have been pushing for a while now. One of the biggest things is making sure that you at least take one time a week, taking some fresh water and pumping through here, cleaning this pump out. The seats and the valves in there are sensitive. I mean, it's hard to think about it, but I mean, all it takes is just a little bit of grime, a little bit of junk to get in there, and you lose pressure, you get blow by. The best way to think about it is like a piston in a ring. If something gets in between that ring, it's not going to allow pressure. You're not going to have the pressure you need to push or get out of a bind if you are. So you got to take care of this thing. We hit the winter months, so you know, something we have to deal with here in Georgia. Those freezing temps. These things are not cheap. They're not cheap. This antifreeze tank back here is here for a reason. You have to use it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put a cap on here. Make sure this is obviously full. You know, either get it from Frankie or myself, the antifreeze. Take and put a cap on this. Once the cap's on there, you're gonna take and open this valve up. This valve right here. This is the line that goes to your actual antifreeze tank. And then you're gonna take and turn this on, leave the cap on there, get on the drill, turn your water on, and let it flow. Once you start seeing the pink or whatever color antifreeze that you're pumping through here start coming out of the spud of the drill, then obviously you're good to go. You don't want to sit there and drain this tank dry. It's pointless. And once you start seeing the pink, then you've obviously got antifreeze through the whole system. These will freeze and they will bust. And like I said, I want to touch base on that again. These are not cheap. So another thing I want to touch on is this, obviously your fuel tank. Keeping these full at all times. These tanks are open into the elements. If you leave it half full or just a little bit low, it builds up moisture. These things cook in the sun all day long. So then right now, especially it's getting into the fall time, you got high temps to low temps, which is going to build even more moisture. So make sure we're at the end of the day, or at the end of the day, fill these tanks up so overnight it's not building up as much moisture. Obviously, as you walk your way forward, you're going to have your def tank. Same thing with this. Obviously, out in the elements, the sun's baking on it all day long. One of the worst things you can have happen to these is get water in them. Make sure that we're keeping these full. Make sure you don't put the def fluid in the fuel tank. It's not good. Not good at all. But that's all I got for a 2440 today. I appreciate y'all checking out the video. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions about this equipment or any other thing regarding the fleet, please reach out to me. Thank you.